Welcome to the Vamos Morados podcast on the State of Louisville Podcast Network. As usual, I am Zach.
And I'm Benton.
Ben, we have some housekeeping this week. It's a new season. We got some new things going on.
We do. Zach, you wanna share with the people what we have cooking, what we got going on?
We got video on YouTube now. So if for some weird reason you want to see our big dumb faces while we complain about soccer stuff, you can see that now on YouTube.
Yeah, and I've been growing my hair out. It's not going to be here for long, so if you want to look at that, YouTube's going to be your place.
You can watch me struggle to find a Louisville City hat I like this season.
They always have so many hats. You're struggling?
They have a lot, and I don't love any of them. I'm having trouble. I want just like a purple Louisville City version of the racing like camping hat that they have, but the Louisville City camping hat is black, and I don't like it. I want a purple one. As we'll get into later, I can make stuff happen now. So maybe if I complain about it on the podcast, we'll get a purple one.
Hey, just share your thoughts and opinions with the guys at the team store. They're pretty passionate about what they do, and I'm sure they have a little bit of influence as far as what's in stock.
And other news, I'll probably not bring this up super often, but we have a Ko-fi page now for anyone that wants to like chip in and contribute to what we're doing here. We've set up a place for that. I think the plan is anything we get from that, we're just going to spend on film for taking pictures of the games right now, but also like it'll help us get some equipment for recording, especially now that we're doing video. So
basically like re-injecting it into the Louisville City zeitgeist.
Yep. So we are Vamos Morados podcast on Ko-fi now. We'll throw a link in description or whatnot. Cool. But what?
I was gonna say, while you're at it, why don't you tell me what you've been into?
Oh, it's a good transition. You beat me to it. I've been into a deck building game on Switch I got last week called Balatro, which it's pretty interesting because I really like Slay the Spire and deck building games like that. And this is that, but it's like regular poker with like regular playing cards, but you can like upgrade them and get special abilities and things, and it gets the score you have to get gets higher and higher as you go. It is very addicting. I found it because my little brother sent me a message saying, "Do not play Balatro. It is a time vampire." And I getting a warning like that, I had to try it myself.
Yeah, it's like don't push the big red button, so you immediately do that.
Yeah.
I like the idea of deck building games because like you get to do the whole card game thing, but it's not whoever has the most money win. Like, do you know what the prices are for modern like competitive Magic the Gathering decks?
I feel like Magic's kind of broke because it's just like building very specific decks with very expensive cards.
Well, I mean that's like any card game meta anymore with the internet and the sharing information, but like they're hundreds of dollars. Like, so if you want to stand a chance else, like in any sort of context like that, like, it's outrageous.
The thing about card building games, the reason it's such a time vampire is you run into the element of so much rests on if you get lucky early on with the cards you get. And so it's just like, in order to beat it, you're always like, well, next I'll do one more try. Like one more try. I'll get good cards this time. One more. And yeah.
You know how many times that came up when I was playing Dota with my friends? We'll play one more. Like this one will be different.
Yeah. We'll get a good drop this time.
They never were.
But yeah, so that's what I've been into this week. Ben, what have you been into this week?
So I've been dabbling in the realm of AI. I've used ChatGPT before, but like in a very like limited kind of one-off context, never really like looked up or cared to look up how to like properly use it in terms of constructing these prompts to get the most from it. But after my friend has been talking about it a bit, he had the paid plan. I'm like, all right, I'll give it a try for 1 month. It'll aid me with some stuff I'm working on. And I've been playing around with it a lot, and like I'm getting really like sucked in. Like it's pretty cool. Like there's obviously pros and obviously some cons with AI, but how I look at it is that I mean that Pandora's box is open. Like that decision's already been made, and I can't influence that one way or another. And since I kind of work in technically related roles, I figured this is something I should at least have some level of familiarity with. And I'm enjoying the experience.
You decided it was time to throw a quarter in the plagiarism machine.
Yeah. I mean, like
I
again, like
think I think listeners can probably
it's
guess where I
here.
stand on the AI
I know.
stuff.
I know, and I knew you'd be like that. Like, and I totally get like the criticisms and the issues or whatnot with it, but like there's also a lot of positives that come from it. And again, like I said before, literally nothing I can do about its existence. It's going to happen whether I want to or not. Even if the website Chat GPT was deleted tomorrow and all the other like big ones, like people have like local installation copies and kind of know how to make them now. Like it's happening. So, but I've been enjoying the enjoying learning how to use it and kind of leverage it as a tool. So we'll see where that goes, but it's been fun so far.
Cool. We got games though. We got games played by real humans
We
that
do,
we can
yeah.
talk about. Uh let's go. Let's go in chronological order like usual. So we'll start with the pit game. Ben, this was a fun one.
Yeah, it was.
It was a fun one that at points I was worried would stop being fun, and then the end of the game it got more fun again.
Yeah, I definitely came into the match cautiously optimistic. There were several people online kind of saying this is like a trap match, one that you're kind of lured into a false sense of security. And I don't disagree with them. Also, I'm kind of the mindset of Pittsburgh's always strikes me as a team that can pull one out, particularly with their play style. And they've done it before. I always think back to the original home opener for Land Family Stadium and how they ruined that one. So I mean, I was comfortable with the team. I was happy to see that Pittsburgh has not exactly been doing excellent this season. But it panned out as well as I could have hoped. Like it ended up being a really outstanding game. It's in great weather. I got my wife to come along with a friend, so my experience is great. Outside the game itself, but in the game itself, like we got a really good performance. Not a perfect one, but I think it's an improvement over the El Paso game and certainly steps in the right direction.
Yeah, John, who we had on a couple weeks ago, had a really good write up for the game. So I'm going to steal from him because he knows more than me about soccer. But he sort of mentioned this is kind of the new Louisville City blueprint. This is the culmination of a lot of the tactical changes that they've been trying to implement over the last year. Um, this was like the sort of dominant win that they used to have, but in a different way than they used to win. There's a lot more direct play, a lot more fast counters. Um, uh, have fully switched to the three back, and kind of a different kind of three back than they used to dabble with. Um, so yeah, I mean, it felt like love to see it when a plan comes together.
Yeah.
This is the way this team wants to play this season.
Yeah, for I mean for most of the match, it seemed like they were they were executing exactly what the game plan was, moving very fluidly. I know Coach Danny Cruz after the match, he basically had no criticisms of the first half. And I mean, I agree with that one. I know that's not where most of our goals came from, but if you look up on SofaScore, they have this like kind of little game flow visual, kind of gives you an idea of like how the tides are going, indicating like kind of who's like winning for lack of a better term. And man, it was literally one way traffic until like the very end there. There you start to see a little bit of Pittsburgh. But it was an outstanding first half. Early in the second half, I think they kind of lost it a little bit. They got scored on, weren't exactly looking too sharp after that, but then they got their feet back under them and obviously the
An
Pittsburgh way.
uncharacteristically bad decision from Tosh, which you do not see often.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, his in the tactical change, his position has changed a little bit. Playing, I mean, where that turnover happened, he was in sort of a fullback position on the wing, and and so I think that's a thing you will not expect to serve as they play in this formation more as the season goes along, I think.
Yeah, yeah, and I was kind of chalking that up to a little bit of a system adjustment from what he's kind of known really for, I guess, years prior. You could argue that they've been fairly consistent in how they've played in the past, and so this is a little bit of a departure for that, especially in his
Although
expectations.
I will go ahead and call it, just watching the way they're playing this season. Uh as long as the system stays the same, I think we are getting a Shantosh outside the box top shelf goal
I
this
hope you're
season. I
right.
think he's banging in like a 30-yarder at one point this season.
Hey, I'm cheering that on. I'm all for it. Let's go. Let's make it happen. Um, but yeah, I mean, some of the numbers from the match I wanted to specifically point out. I think that again, single game XG. Don't get too fixated on it, but Louisville
But
City had
a
two.
step in the right direction after last week where we were complaining
Yeah,
about
yeah,
the
no, and I think again it directionally kind of shows how the match went, and I think this one's pretty accurately reflective of that. 2.75 for Louisville City to Pittsburgh's 0.62. And I mean, it seems about right based off of what I watched unfold.
17 shots to 5. Um with interestingly, like this is a difference in the style of play over years past. 49 to 50 uh 51 present possession. So they outshot them that much while not possessing it a whole lot more, which is the way they're trying to play now.
Yeah, and we've talked about this before. There's not a correlation between possession and winning. As annoying as that is, it seems like it would be the case, but so I'm all in favor of this reduced possession. And to be honest, it's not that significant if they're keeping about even. Like
Yeah.
for all intents and purposes, it's the same. What they would on good days hover a little bit above 60%. Like so,
Well, and like you
no
have to
issue.
change stuff up. You can't win, like people adjust to the way you play. You can't win the same way
Oh,
year in, year out.
yeah,
So
for sure. And I mean there's tactical kind of evolutions over time. Like if you look back over the decades on how different teams played and whatnot, like these like dynamic fullbacks that you see in modern football, like around the world. That wasn't a thing like 15 years ago. They were very much more backline oriented. Defense was the top priority, but now they're definitely kind of getting involved in the attack and all that business. And there's probably hundreds of other examples you could point to over time. So you got to keep up with those, I guess, those modern trends.
uh can we safely say that this was the Ray Serrano game?
Oh, I'm gonna try to keep my thoughts on him brief because
Oh,
yeah,
and I want to hear you crush on him. I want to hear full on Ray Serrano crush from Benton.
yeah, this is the Ray Serrano show. For a while, like for as long as he's been with the team, like I knew he had a ton of potential, right? Like if anybody's seen him like working with the ball, I'm talking even outside like the game, like warm up, just like any sort of context, he's a goddamn wizard with the ball at his foot. Like he's like top notch. Like nobody else in that team compares to him in terms of technical ability. However, like I feel like it's largely just not really benefited the team in live play. It's not really netted many positive results. But and he's a young kid, right? I don't even know if he's 21 yet. He's probably right around there. At most, he's 21. He's a young kid still developing, so it's one of those things you don't put too much stock into. He's working with a lot of great talent, and he'll develop over time. And I mean, he started the El Paso game, and he was not one of the names I had kind of mentally penciled down on the team sheet. He did well. Saw him again for this one, and I'm like, all right, he did well last time, so I'm good with that. And man, it was just a real breakout performance from him. I mean, he
He
did outstanding.
he
I mean,
is 21.
21. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
you hit it. Yeah.
I knew he was real young. Uh, you know, he basically got the assist for Wilson's goal. It's uncredited since it's a deflection, but he definitely helped make that happen. He earned the PK, and I think he did so in an honorable fashion. It wasn't like a clear dive. Like I thought it was it
He
was
drew the
definitely
foul.
deserved.
Like
Yeah, it was definitely deserved.
he got a step on the guy, got the guy to leave his feet, and then he cut
Yeah.
across.
He, he
Like
he seemed prepared to actually make a real soccer play, but at the same time was also cognizant of the
it
of
was
the
a
defender.
situation where had that guy not made contact with him, he would have just cut across
Yeah,
and
for sure. And
and
sometimes guys they're only waiting for that touch so they can go down. And that's what I mean by honorable. He wasn't doing that. So I appreciate how he went about getting that. And then he goes out there and gets that goal at the end that really just kind of, made the place hit its decibel maximum for the afternoon. And also, can we talk about how photogenic he is? I need him to score more often. There's so much stuff to work with.
This is
Connor
why we got to get
Connor
film
Cunningham had
so
a
we can get in on the Ray Serrano photo game.
Connor Cunningham had a photo. I'm like, God damn, like hang that thing in the Louvre. Like that is such a phenomenal photo. Um, but I mean, just all around outstanding performance. It really felt like a breakout. It reminded me a lot of the Napo breakout in 2020. If you were watching the team, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. Most explicitly, I'm thinking of one of the like 800 matches we had against Sporting Kansas City that year, and he was just tearing dudes up. And I hope it continues for Ray. This is I'm glad that this is happening. It really seems like something's clicked for him, and he's closed that gap between his potential, or between his current state and his potential.
Yeah.
So thrilled with him.
I can't believe we've gone this long without talking about the most important storyline of the game, though, which is what is going on with Jake Morris's socks? What is his sock situation?
The whole modern like the whole dynamic with modern players and their socks is so weird. Like they used to just be like they would wear them as socks, but this like kind of younger crew of kids, they have to do something to their socks. Most of them, you'll probably notice, like literally cut off the foot portion. So if we're on so basically just kind of covers their calves, and that's all it is. Uh, you got what you're alluding to. Jake Morris kind of cut up the back of it, I guess, to make it less like have less compression.
He had like Power Girl windows in the back of his socks for his
He just kind of
calves.
ripped slits into them, and like
I,
guys,
I think I texted you because we had trouble parking because of the festival going on. So we got there a couple minutes late, and I texted you to ask if Jake Morris got attacked by a cat at the start of the game, and I missed it because it looks like he just had runs, socks, just
yeah,
giant holes in the
it does
back.
look like a claw mark, but I don't know, like just like I don't understand the manipulation there. I mean, I get that I'm not a professional soccer player, but like, does it make that big of
I
a
gotta let the girls
difference?
breathe. I can't. I gotta feel air on my calves, or else I can't play.
But all of the guys do it. I don't know how true it still is, but I remember a few seasons back, I was told that Kyle Gregg was the only one that did not do it, and he was one of the older dudes in the locker room, so it's definitely a younger man thing. So I imagine like all of them are doing something like that. It's weird, but whatever works for him. But
I
like
mean, it's
you'll see it on
all
other teams
weird,
too.
but his was like a step weird above everyone else.
I've seen that before. It's not as common as the whole cutting like the actual foot portion off because everybody does that. But what you're talking about, yeah, that's I've seen
Although
it
I
in
will
other
say,
places too.
I think we should chip in and just as a service to us as viewers, because uh, now that it's been pointed out to me, I think Hallie pointed it out last year to us, and I'm obsessed with the sock thing now. I think we should all pull our resources and buy a thing of purple clothing dye for the team so that they can dye their stupid white socks that they put below the uh below their soccer socks purple so that it at least matches.
I'm actually on board with that. It just looks sloppy to me. Not like
Like
appearance is kind of the
can
top
we at the
thing
very
there.
least dye the white training socks purple so that it's not such an eyesore?
I just don't understand why like Adidas and Nike haven't caught on to this and like
Or at the very least, Dia wears black socks down there so that it blends in with the purple and it's not super obvious. Uh,
yeah.
so props to Dia.
But like with the manufacturers, like wouldn't they be incentivized to want to make these like modified knot socks? Like they can sell less fabric and honestly probably just put it the same exact price.
But also, like, I think like Dia's not. I'm sure that the socks. I'm sure the bottoms of the soccer socks are good. They,
I'm
they,
sure they are.
they
But for whatever reason, the
I
the
think
players
Adidas
don't
knows
want
how to
them.
make socks.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe they should redesign that. I don't know. We've talked way too long about socks. We got the win against Pittsburgh. We avenged ourselves from that preseason loss that did not matter. Team looked great. I'm happy, that again, step in the right direction. We saw a good offensive output, which was one of our chief concerns with the squad, and they showed that they can bang in goals if they really want
The
to.
it's the type of performance we want to see this
Yep.
season. I think that is like the archetype of the game they're trying to play.
Yep.
So
And to follow that, I think we have another opponent that's ripe for a good outing for us in the Birmingham Legion. Normally, I think they're a more competitive side, but this year I think the general consensus is they're all right. They're all right. Like
yeah, they like did some things in the offseason. They did not do as much as the other teams in the East did. So they may have lost a step just from that. I don't know. They kind of looking like mid-table
yeah,
team
they
this
I mean
season. We'll see how it shakes out.
they opened things up and they beat Phoenix, the reigning champs, and but then lost to Hartford, which Hartford could be good. The jury's still out on that. I'm afraid to declare it because I did that last year and was very wrong. Um, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Another earlier starting game. I kind of like this trend.
Love it.
I don't
Big
have any
fan of the 4 o'clock games.
I don't have any little ones that factor into it, but it's nice to mix it up. It's nice to make it available for other people, and then also kind of cognizant of how cold it is this time of year. I think
Yeah.
it's a win all around in my book.
Great for families, the 4 o'clock games. Because you can go home and get the kids to bed at a reasonable time afterwards. I would like to say I would like to apologize for our newfound sway on the organization. When I complained about not having a TV at the playgrounds, I did not realize that they were just going to take out the playgrounds. That was not, I think, the solution I had in mind. I know it's temporary, but
It's a work in progress.
our daughter freaked out when we got to the game and there was no playground there.
Poor Chuck.
She
Oh,
was not happy. But we're finally getting a screen back there.
yeah.
So congratulations to us. I I'm curious if they just took the playground out to put the screen up, or if they're actually like upgrading the playground as well. So I guess we'll see when that
Find out
finishes.
soon enough. I had one other thought before we kind of pivot over and start talking about racing. Is I'm really curious if we roll out the same lineup again against Birmingham. Eventually it's going to have to change, whether it's due to fatigue or injury or something else. But I mean, right now it seems like a winning formula. I mean, barring some sort of different tactical shift for the Legion, like I don't know if I'd be mad if it's the same crew.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
I don't know. Um,
it's hard because you're
is
you're
this
like you're leaving talent on the bench,
is
but like
Maris
that's
like
inevitable.
dealing with? Have you heard anything? Is he
No,
coming back off an injury? Or is he just not checked in yet?
no, it's just not checked in. And then I mean,
That
another note is that Carlos Mogel, he's available again. He just was not selected as part of the 18. So again, there's still other factors that could
that's the other
happen
thing
in
is
that
that
lineup.
I would expect Maris to get maybe some minutes if he's healthy. Change up that rotation a little bit, but I think the starting lineup's probably be the same.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see any reason why not. Again, barring some sort of tactical shift there. So again, like that first game happened, I saw that lineup. I'm like, this is not what I was expecting. I knew Amadou was injured. I'm like, okay, as soon as he's healthy, he'll be back in the mix. So he wasn't last game. Slam Gleedle was definitely expecting, and in there he was not. Um, you know, Wes, I thought
Both of them
this
checked
stood a
into the
chance.
game.
Yeah, I mean, they all checked in, but as far as just like starting, getting the majority of the minutes. Um,
I would expect as the season goes, we'll probably see like Wes worked in there
yeah.
as just managing minutes,
Oh yeah, no,
rotating players
yeah.
around.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll happen. And like this is the time of year where we're still like figuring out our team, like who are the guys we can expect to be regularly starting and who aren't. And I think there's a little bit of an adjustment period from what we're used to or what we were expecting based off of the information we learned about the new guys. So it's kind of fun part of it. Like parts of the season have different phases. This is just part of that early phase. So.
Yep.
All right, let's turn our attention and talk about the ladies in lavender who were on the road in Houston. Zach, we got to watch this one together.
Yeah, we made good use of the team's new pub list
Yeah, the we went
uh,
to one of the official pub partners,
which
and they were
was
indeed showing the match.
it is very nice to be able to know for sure what places are showing the games, so you don't
Yeah,
have to call around and search. Yeah, so we went to Gallant Fox, which
this is my
is
first time there.
yeah, my first time there too. I picked because it's the closest one to my house and I could walk to it. Uh, uh, but yeah, it was nice. They had the game on. The sound wasn't working, which is to be expected. I think the sound's
I
never
was
working.
honestly okay with it.
Yeah.
It was
the
fine.
the announcers are usually pretty annoying for the NWSL games, so that
It probably
was
been too much
fine with
between
me.
the full like bar atmosphere, other people talking, and us trying to talk, and then that like probably being very loud as well. So like,
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
I
But yeah, I
this
thought it was a cool little place. Like it
yeah.
was it wasn't like empty, but also wasn't too crowded.
There was a
Um,
couple there were other racing fans there,
they
which was
were.
nice. Yeah.
Um, yeah, there's some other like people there not for the soccer game as
I think
well.
that will probably be my spot this year.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind
So
going back
I
there. I
think
do
most
enjoy
away
watching it
games
from the comfort of my house, but
yeah.
I'm not opposed to going every once in a while. I know you don't drink any beer, but I had one their Hefeweizen. It was solid. Um, yeah, fun time on. They didn't really have much in the way of food, but they did
Yeah,
have a
they have
pretzel. I did
pretzels,
not get it because I had eaten just prior to that, but
which is actually
hey,
good because I don't need to be snacking it at 8:30. So
I don't need to, but I will. I absolutely will, especially if it's a pretzel. But I was full then, so I didn't do it. All right, talk about the match.
so weirdly a completely different result, but a very similar performance to what we saw from City. I will say, like,
Yeah,
if you look at the stats, it's extremely similar stat line. Like 19 shots to 12, 10 shots on goal to 4, um, 43 to 56 possession. So kind of similar, like less possession but more shots. It really shows how much of a how much of soccer is out of your hands a little bit, because I think the results on these games could have very easily swapped with just a couple things going a different way. Like if if uh if Ray doesn't get fouled and if there's a little bit less stoppage time, that City game could have been a 1-1 draw with very few changes. And same with this one, like one offside call being a foot different than it was, and like a ball not getting cleared off the line, and this is a 2-0
yeah.
victory. But it really I whereas uh in the last draw I was very concerned with the play. I think I was actually pretty encouraged by the amount of chances they generated with this one. I think 2xg to 0.87, like the chances were there. It kind of felt like um they got a really good keeper performance
Yeah, they
on
did.
the other end, and also just got a couple unlucky bounces. Like that Fisher shot where she chipped it over Campbell, and then a Houston player just came like hauling in out of nowhere and like back heel scorpion kicked it off the line. That should have been a goal. That was like a completely insane thing to happen there.
That that
Uh
that stop by the defender, that kick, the accuracy, like I turned to you, I'm like, that was phenomenal. I know that's not what we wanted to see right there, but that was really good by that defender. I was thoroughly impressed. And I'm glad you brought up the XG thing because yeah, it very much mirrored the Louisville City match. And while the Louisville City match was the Ray Serrano show, this Houston match was the Jane Campbell show. Unfortunately for us, I mean, you put a lesser goalkeeper in there,
but
and Racing wins that one.
my philosophy is you play that way every game, you're going to win more games
Oh yeah,
than you're going to get draws or losses like
yeah.
this. Like that is a winning formula if you stick to it.
It's a
Um
performance to be happy and excited about, but it's a result to be frustrated with.
yes, encouraging performance, disappointing
Yeah, both can be
result.
true.
Uh
But I mean, yeah, like you said, just keep doing that, and success will come your way. And again, you have to
they had
imagine like some
10
of the.
shots on target. Like
I
to
mean,
not get a goal out of 10 shots on target is insane.
yeah, and I mean, you got a couple of new players in the mix, particularly Rylan Turner, who was doing
They
most
had
of
a
that
great game.
shooting. Uh, she's only going to get better each and every game she plays. This is her second like regular season game in the NWSL period. Like
Yeah.
she's
Well,
going
and
to
like,
grow. She's going to get more comfortable. She's going to get more confident. And I can only imagine things will only get better for her.
yeah. And I know people can complain about the finishing, like, oh, she had that many shots and didn't get a goal. But I will say she had one spectacular finish, and it just happened to be the one where she was like 6 inches offsides.
Yeah.
But
And
that
then and the
that
freak
goal
defensive
that got
play.
taken back was an incredible goal. She like over the shoulder, one touch
Yep.
volley. Yeah. She had a lot of really good shots, I
Yeah.
thought.
And another observation I had is I like to look at the player ratings. Again, I just think it kind of generally gives you an idea of how a person performs. One of those things not to read too much in. But like you don't normally see this unless your team wins. But all of the starters for racing had above a 7.0 rating. So like all green colored on there. And you just like that's usually what you see when your team wins, those dominant performance. You're like, yeah. But this one, like for that to happen like on a draw, like that, I just don't you don't see that all too often. So it just kind of I think adds to the whole like we were unlucky narrative.
Yeah. Uh one note I had, because the rookies played really good, but it was another game where Wright, formerly Davis, Kristen, KD, K Dub now, I think, according to Jeff, was not in the 18. I have not heard any news on what's going on there. I imagine she's picked up some sort of knock or something, but I do feel like, especially with the way this team has been playing, uh, like having some experience that she has. She's a couple
Mhm.
years older than the other forwards. She had a really good season last year. Uh, like I think if we play like this and she is getting minutes, we will see goals.
Yeah, and it's also worthy of noting that Savannah DeMello was questionable. She was available for selection off the bench, but not utilized. So
She
you
got
could,
switched to the bench like shortly before the game, which
yeah,
makes me think probably something got tweaked in warm up
yeah.
or
So that's another element you could play the what if game on. But again, I don't feel like you need another starter, but it would have been nice to have that as a reliable option to use at some point in the match. It might have been a difference maker. But I mean, all in all, plenty of reason to be excited. Kind of annoying that it's just two draws from those two performances, but these things happen. It's just two matches. There's still a lot of season left to play.
yeah.
All right, well, let's bring things home and wrap things up. We had a few other things to talk about. We got Racing Louisville's next match away at Portland Saturday at 7:30. I'm so glad 7:30. Realizing it was way at Portland, it very easily could have been
Which
10:30.
is normally a nightmare game, but this is honestly the most vulnerable Portland has looked since I've followed the league. They have not played well in their first two games, two losses. This is probably about as good of an opportunity as you will get away at Portland.
Yeah. Yeah, let's make something happen. Maybe this is the one. Have a dominant performance, get 3 points, get a real big confidence booster there. Just kind of put it all together. Wouldn't be too mad about that one.
No, I would love that.
Also, I mentioned this to you right before we start recording. I got the notification that my Louisville City Derby kit was available for pickup. It hasn't really kind of been like heavily like pushed or anything. I happened to notice that it was available for pre-order in one of the like the emails that come out from Louisville City, which I think a lot of people tend to miss that information. I know I certainly have in the past. So I try to call that stuff out when I find it. I mean, it's a pretty cool kit. It's a red kit. It's kind of got this kind of rose subtle pattern on the chest, on the sleeves. It's got these little like little jockeys going on. It's collared. Again, like I mentioned before, it's red. So if you're a U of L fan, kind of a no-brainer for you. I'm a UK guy, but I'm able to wear red.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
wearing
been
it
kind
for
of
the State of Louisville Network.
had completely missed it until you mentioned it. So
Yeah,
it's
I
kind
mean,
of yeah,
I'm sure.
not
I guess they're just waiting to maybe kind of push that it's available, but it's one of those I feel like that like if you like some people are going to kick themselves if they don't get it because it's just so unique and different. Like it's red. We've not had a red kit before. It's pretty neat.
I'm a big fan of alternate kits being different colors than
Yeah.
the team usually
Yep.
has.
And I don't know if I mentioned the fact that it's colored as well. It kind of makes it look less like just like a generic like athletic t-shirt like some of those like other like non-official kits are. You know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about?
less like a warm up. I mean, like they
Yeah.
are warm ups, but they look
Yeah,
like
but it's got a collar going on, so it makes it feel more legitimate and official. So, um, I mean, you can find it in the team store on the team website if you want to check out what I'm talking about. But looks pretty neat in person.
can't wait to see it.
Yeah. So I got Zach. Anything else that you want to share that you want to put out there in the universe?
Oh, I want to say thanks to people who keep tagging me on Twitter when they find new vegetarian options at the stadium. I think that might be the best benefit of doing the podcast is I just randomly have people people tagging me whenever they find vegetarian stuff. Keep that coming. Apparently, we brought it up on last week's episode, but the I Heart Tacos, the new permanent location, does have the tofu tacos like I had wished for. So I will definitely be. It's 2 weeks in a row. I've not been able to get the crunch wrap though. It has been selling out pretty quick.
Yeah, it sounds like you
So
got to go sooner than
I
later.
will have to report back next week on if I get a chance to try the crunch wrap.
All right, everybody's I'm sure sitting on the edge of their seats, but we'll keep them waiting until
People got to
next week
know.
to find out if you got your vegetarian food.
The people want to hear me either praise or complain about the crunch wrap. So
All right. Well, we are going to let these people go. We are going to let them move on to the next podcast in their feed. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you as always to the State of Louisville Network. Make sure you're liking or excuse me, following all of the work that they're doing across the various media platforms, especially on YouTube. Give the channel a follow, even if you follow in an audio format. Just subscribe on YouTube. Just have it there available. So maybe you're on YouTube one day. You haven't listened to the latest episode yet.
come see us on YouTube.
Faces.
Say hello to my cat Tomas.
He's hold the cat up. You can't see that in an audio
That's a
feed.
YouTube only exclusive.
Technically accurate. All right, we're gonna let you guys go. Thank you guys so much. We'll catch you guys next week. We will talk about the next two matches. Hopefully both win.
6 points. We're talking about 6 points next week. I'm throwing it out there.
No more 4 points. All right.
We're done. We're done with
Yeah.
4-point weekends. It is only 6-point weekends now.
All right. You take care, everybody.
Bye, y'all.